Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to nominate Stan regarding the teachers.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
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 So I'll sit on both, and
Okay.
Joel will be with me on one and Stan with me on the other.
Okay, got it.
One more new business, if you don't mind.
Okay?
Budget Committee has suspended their meetings because of the coronavirus. I just want to put a concept out. Does it make sense, because we don't know how long this is going to go, does it make sense monthly to send what we would normally send for paperwork, plus maybe the audits, and I think it's next week's package or this week's package, we had the bullet point on what they did with student activity. Does it make sense to reach out to Jody Connolly, who's the chair, and say, do you want this information now, or do you want us to hold it until such time that they convene?
Yeah, that might be a good point, that if we ask her within our meeting what she would like to receive, if any, for information. Like that, like a couple of things you mentioned, they may say yes, or let's wait till July or something.
So are you directing me to reach out to Jody?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then see if she would, because when they would be meeting and when she would like to start seeing material and what with that she would like. And if you don't see any disagreement to her request, I don't have any issue with you just giving her what she wants. If you think this thing's something that you need to come back to us for, let us know. You know, if she asks you for something that you don't think they need at this point, you can just bring it back.
Jody's always been very reasonable with
Okay.
me. I'm not worried
But
about it.
like I said, you know,
Okay.
but
Yep.
it's something you feel, it's come to, just give it to her.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, moving along to old business. At the last meeting, we had a contract that we approved with a condition of approval, which was a clause for non-performance and so that was draft language was in your folder. Did anyone get a chance to review that? I'll read it out loud.
Please do.
It's pretty short. It's one regarding impact fire services. First, it would be for the 3-year contract, a non-performance clause in case where the vendor fails to perform under the terms of the contract and this failure amounts to a fundamental non-performance and the parties are unable to come to an agreement related to the performance requirements, Farmington School District may terminate the contract. Termination of the contract releases both parties of their obligations to effect and to receive future performance. The next clause is a non-appropriation clause, which I assume is a standard non-appropriation clause that I don't need to read in to the record.
It's just basically the RSA says that anything that is a multi-year contract,
And if it
school
doesn't get
districts,
appropriated,
school districts are
breaks the
required to have a non-appropriations clause just in case it doesn't get included in the next budget, that it's terminated.
but in this case, it's more to put the vendor on notice that he is subject to this.
Absolutely.
Right, so it's more information than an additional requirement. So anyone have any questions or comments to it? I think it's a good basic minimum that we have in a multi-year contract, so I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments, concerns? So I think, Ruth Ann, you had run this by the vendor and they were comfortable with it?
Yes,
So-
yeah. So I guess my question is, with the addition of these two clauses, are you prepared to enter a multi-year contract with Impact Fire Services?
Yeah, that-
Because the question was, with this, then if, but this needed to be approved. So I don't know how you want.
If this
the
is
motion to
approved,
go.
then we basically would be entering into the contract because that was a condition of the approval.
Was this run by legal, or who wrote it, basically?
This came from Impact. This is what they were willing to do, but it's pretty standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read it.
We have someone who's just called in. Can I jump in and unmute them?
Can you hold like 1 minute? So we're going to finish this one item.
Finish the motion and then we will.
Yeah, so just hold on 1 second.
I'll make the motion to award the contract as amended with those two provisions.
Second.
Second by Stan, discussion. Josh?
Yeah, that's fine.
Joel, any discussion? Not hearing, I'm not hearing any discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So
Thank you.
at this point, we have somebody calling in or getting onto the meeting. So if you please state your name for the record and the street that you live on, and let us know what your concern is or question.
Okay, and if you called in because I've just muted you, you just hit *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. So number that just called in, if you hit *6 on your phone, you will unmute yourself.
Can I repeat that, Charlie?
So,
I might have to give them a second, but they'll hit *6 on their phone to unmute.
okay. So yeah, the person calling in, if they can hit *6 7,
Star six.
*6 to unmute themselves,
There
then
we go.
go ahead.
Are you there?
No, they hung up. I think they're going to call back in.
Okay, well, as soon as they do, just interrupt us. We'll keep going.
Okay, perfect.
Next on our agenda was, what,
Bidding
Ruth Ellen?
policy.
What's that?
The bidding policy.
Oh, I had put this on, I had Ruth Ellen put this on because I had some discussion.
That's just a
or I
printed
wanted to
agenda
have
for you.
some discussion of maybe some potential changes. We've come running a little bit late, so I'm comfortable tabling this to the next meeting unless Ruth Ellen wants to
That's
whack
fine.
at it.
Motion
Just-
table?
Yeah, I guess we have a motion to table already.
Second.
I know we've been keeping you guys out late and staff, so I want to keep this as short as possible. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I
Question,
didn't even hear what that was. Was that a motion for something?
it was a
Motion
motion
to table.
to
next
table the
meeting.
bidding.
Yeah, discussion.
Is that to table to the 20th?
20th.
Or, okay.
Yeah. Next one was, I think Ruth Ellen had this on.
Okay.
Go,
So for the spending plan overview, I've been asked by the board, and I've discussed this with Charlie, in regard to what's going to be spent between now and the end of the year, what that looks like. And I appreciate the board not just immediately moving toward a freeze, but to kind of get a handle on where things are and how that's going to work. Right now, I have final approval on all of the RQs that come through the system. And I review each one that comes through. What you have been given in the past few weeks, you have a list that says unlikely to expend. And I have a sheet that I'm in the midst of preparing that I will get up there for you that says, of that, here's right now where that would be and what would be purchased ahead for next year, what's going to need to be encumbered for projects that we're not able to complete this year because of whatever things are going on right now that are not allowed, and that wouldn't necessarily come from that, it would come from the lines that we're not able to expend. And then wanting to develop a system for you and see what's going to work best for you. Obviously, to just have you see it in the manifest is a little bit too late. What makes the most sense for you as a board? Do you want to see, here's the projections for this week? Sometimes I know, sometimes I get an invoice in that was, the work was done 3 months ago, now I have the invoice. We're not moving forward with a lot of new work at this point that hasn't already been in process. Things like the freezer that is being replaced this week, that's been in process for months. Things like the flooring in this room, that's been in process for months. But as far as new expenditures, anything is just what's already been or those contractual pieces that are just being finished out for the year. I've had teachers now that they've had time to sit back and process say, oh yes, I do have those receipts I need to turn in for this reimbursement, which is contractual. I've had a few of those come through, those are on this manifest. But it's contractual pieces that are coming through or prior obligations. We're not doing really much in terms of new spending at this point, other than those pieces that we've already discussed. But I want to find out from you what the best mechanism is for that to be, because I don't want to be after the fact, but I also don't want to give you a line by line. I think we're going to spend this week. This might not be until next week, because that's going to be awkward for everybody.
I think on some of the things that we've slated we're going to buy this year and next year, I think if you have a total.
I have a spreadsheet of that and a total.
Yeah, total of that, so this is what we're planning to spend based upon what was discussed on the budgetarily, and then I think that would be the basis, and then any other expenses that I guess are not committed or not been previously committed, or
Okay.
like saying if it's the freezer that's been ongoing, that's going to be something we may ask a question. We see it on the manifest. But,
Sure.
That's
I mean, when
gonna
you
be
see a
the
large
explanation.
ticket item
Right.
like that, you should be asking questions.
Right. But the biggest thing is try to make sure that we can, spend on things we need, because we don't know what the change is going to be in the school year next year. We know we're going to purchase some of the materials going forward. Hopefully, we do this as wisely as possible, depending on what we think could be pending change as far as what the school district's education looks like potentially coming into next year.
Right, but keeping in mind that I don't get to carry anything forward that's not encumbered.
Right.
So,
Right.
I do have a few things that I've earmarked for encumbrances, and I will have those on a spreadsheet for you as well. Things that I know that we're not going to be able to do, the strategic design process. So the supplies for that, I would encumber into the fall, because I know that, some of them I can purchase now. Food's a little tough to purchase now and keep well. Some of those pieces to encumber forward, encumbering against textbooks that might not come back in the same shape now that they've been out in a different environment for a while, those sorts of things.
I mean, as when you asked me before the meeting, I said, you understood what our goals were when we spoke about it. I think the board was clear. So you need to put that information out that's as easy for you as possible, what you think is going to satisfy the questions. And if we have to make a little adjustments to that, but I didn't want to tell you, and I don't think this board wants to tell you what we want to see, every little thing, because we might be giving you a large time task when you can do it
More quickly.
quickly by proposing what's easy for you to give us structure.
And I know you and I had talked about a spreadsheet. What I wanted to check with the rest of the board is if that makes sense. If it does, I can put that up in the portal for you tonight or tomorrow. I've got at least the starts of that. But I wanted to make sure before I went too far down the road that we'd had the discussion of what makes most sense to you.
Tim?
One of the things I'd like to see is looking at Fund 10 right now, and I'm going to give it an approximate number, it's $1.2 million. At the end of the year, we're going to have some bills that are due, for instance, potentially sick time buyback, tuition reimbursement, stipends, the end of the year expenses that we get every year. I'd like to see a projection of
How much of that we
how
can
much
encumber.
that is going to be coming down the pike compared to that $1.2 million number that's in the bank now, and roughly, what we're spending a month to keep the buildings going. I've seen a difference between 2 months of about $125,000. Is that a good number? Is that a higher number? Kind of,
Right.
Where do we think, knowing that things are fluid and they're going to change, but where do we think we're going to end at the end of the year?
Sure. Okay. All right.
Anyone else with any comments or suggestions? Okay, that's the only thing left under old business. We have manifest signing that we'll pass
This
around.
is the orange folder.
And I'm going to open it up. We still have public comment, so I'm going to give the public a minute or two to call in before we go into non-public session. So we,
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
about Can I ask about the tour of the School Street School?
yeah,
Yes, I have that.
I attended, Joel was not able to attend. What I saw on the first floor, actually, it was in better condition than I thought. But my biggest concern, Stan, is when I went into the bulkhead and I wouldn't say basement, I would call
Crawl space.
excavated crawl space. I saw a furnace that was basically not salvageable, oil tanks which were not salvageable, plumbing which I don't think is potentially not salvageable. The foundation, have you ever been down in the basement, Stan?
No.
It looks like originally it was set on grade and has been partially excavated and propped up temporarily over multiple different time periods. I had asked, I got a call into Dennis Roseberry because I think he did a report back for the previous administration when the previous administration, Mr. Welford, was thinking about doing some work with that, and I'm trying to get that from Dennis because I think he had addressed some serious concerns for that structurally on the foundation port. So, I mean, I was pretty concerned with what I saw regarding structurally as a foundation and potentially what Dennis may require for occupancy permit to get that renovated. Like I said, when I walked in the first floor, I said, well, this is potentially workable. And I went into the basement, I had a totally different opinion. So I'm kind of waiting to get that information from Dennis, and we'll have it on the next agenda if I can get that available for the board members. But it increased my concerns as far as what the potential financial liability is, whether or not we would want to take it on the long term, or should we consider putting it up for an open bid and anybody who's interested in buying it, renovating it, or whatever, because if I had to put it, if I had to throw a number in the air, it's $200,000 or $300,000 potentially. I mean, could somebody buy it and do it cheaper? Yes, but when a municipality or a school district goes and tries to do something, typically it's going to have to be fully
to a different level,
and with really not any sweat equity. So I think it could be substantial cost burden to get it up to an occupancy permit level, and that's why I'm kind of trying to get that information on Dennis's review, who is the current code officer and toured that, I think, 5 years ago. So that's what I saw. And
might have been a little bit earlier than that.
yeah, it might have been 7 years, but we're going to have it on the next agenda. Hopefully I can get some other documents to bring to the board so that the board can make an informed opinion. But
So you want that on the 20th?
yeah, I mean, I think that if any other board members has concerns, they should try to get with Ruth Allen to get into the crawl space, because that's where the concerns are for me. There might be some sill rot and other stuff. The windows have been replaced maybe in the last 15 years. I think structurally, from the floor up, it may be savable. My concerns are from the floor down. So if you get a chance and have Ruth Allen show you that, I think you would at least see what I saw.
Don't wear your good shoes in the basement.
And anybody else that wants to get an opportunity to get into the partially dug out bulkhead area.
Charlie just wants to see me go down the bulkhead.
It's only 3 steps, you can make it. It was raining.
I've been on the roof. I can do it. It's
Yeah.
all good.
So that's all I have for that, Stan. But yeah, I think you should look at that if you can, make some time to get in there and just go down the bulkhead and with a flashlight and look, because maybe you'll look better to you than it looked to me. But like I said, I'm going to get that report from Dennis. If there is a written one, I don't even have that answer yet.
And do you want me to check with Larry and see if he has a copy?
Yeah, if he has one.
Okay.
I don't know if he would. Maybe
I don't know
did.
if he does.
I mean, he might have been. How long has Larry worked here?
Well, long enough to know where the files are from before he was here. So he might.
Yeah.
We can check.
I thought there was some communication. Hopefully it was written and nonverbal.
Hopefully.
So at this point, do we have any public that's called in and wanted to discuss anything with the board?
So far no one has.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Anyone else for anything in public?
We got someone on.
Okay. Go ahead. Trying.
They muted themselves again.
And that would be,
They muted themselves. There might be someone from the admin team just joining in then.
that's a star six?
Well, if it was the admin team, they may not want to.
Penny,
Oh, it's Penny.
Oh, hi Penny.
Go ahead, Penny. Do you have go ahead.
Penny, did you have a question for the board?
No, I just wanted to make a statement.
Go ahead.
So about 5 years ago, the Little Red Schoolhouse went out to bid, and there were no bidders at that time.
Was it a minimum bid or what was the bid structure? Do you remember?
I don't remember the bid structure.
Was there a minimum price or was it just open?
I don't think there were any bids at the time.
I can check the minutes, Penny.
Okay. Yeah, we'll look into to see that.
Do you remember what time of year?
It was in the spring.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your input.
Anything else, Penny?
I think if you ask Cassie, she may have some more information on that.
Okay.
All right.
I'll try
And
that.
we'll check the minutes in the archives as well.
Yeah, because it should be a public record if we
Should
put
be.
it out.
Yep.
I've got a PDF document of 6 years of minutes that I can just punch in and scroll it and pop it up.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. We'll hunt, see what that looked like. I'm curious to read how it was put out. May give us some insight of if we're going to do it and consider it again, what to do or what not to do. Anyone else for public? Not hearing any. I will make a motion to go in a non-public session under RSA 91A:3, 2, under personnel.
Second.
Seconded by Josh. Any discussion? Not hearing any discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous.